Hello, I'm State Senator Michael Rodrigues, and welcome to this October edition of Voices from the Hill. And once again, I'm honored to be joined by my colleagues in the Fall River Legislative Delegation, Representative Paul Schmid, Representative Alan Sylvia, and Representative Carol Fiola. And it's a busy time for us. It's October. Next month, November 4th, is Election Day, and not only are all of us on the ballot and hoping to be reelected, and all of us, I'm sure, will respectfully ask for your consideration and your vote on November 4th. But there are some important, there are other important candidates on the ballot, including governor, lieutenant governor, treasurer, attorney general, and also some very important ballot initiatives and ballot questions.
Very important questions. I might as well just jump in there.
Jump in with both feet, Representative Sylvia.
Yeah.
You are.
I know that many of you folks, registered voters, received this booklet. The booklet comes from the Secretary of State in Massachusetts, and it has in there those ballot questions. Now, there's lots at stake here. Issues about gaming in Massachusetts, the expanded, the bottle bill, the earned sick times, and there's one more. I just want to mention it. We have the bottle bill, the gaming, earned sick time, and I believe the last one, or the first question, is going to be eliminating the gas tax indexing, these are all major issues that are going to affect you and your family for the rest of their lives. So.
Now, we all feel quite strongly about the indexing of gas tax, don't we?
And the reason why is this, or I would be totally against it, because, I think we should be voting for taxes. However, in this case, when we look at what's at stake for us in Fall River and the South Coast, when we're looking at South Coast Rail, South Coast Rail is going to need any additional resources it's going to take, and that's where we are with the gas. Those few cents, and if everyone looks at their gasoline prices, you'll see that they've gone down. As a matter of fact, they're going below $3 a gallon for the first time in a long time. So this is important to us.
And I think you're right, Representative, for everyone out there, the booklet will certainly explain it to you. And on every ballot, there will be a detailed explanation when you get to the ballot to refresh you before you vote. But talking about the first one, which is, as you said, the gas tax, that was the one where the legislature put in a 3-cent tax to your gas. It hadn't been done since 1991. So here we are in 2014, 3 cents a gallon, and all of those monies are going to put into transportation improvements. Keep in mind something we learned and have been learning all along, and it's astonishing that most of our infrastructure, putting South Coast Rail aside for a minute, and that $2.3 billion we put in that bond, this 3-cent gas tax is a piece of how that is going to be paying for that. But think about our roads and bridges. What we've been learning, we've had many meetings with Mass DOT and all these agencies that are working so hard behind the scenes and on the streets. Our roads and bridges were built mostly in the 1950s.
And
they're crumbling.
And people could see by what was done in the Herald News. We all visited the Braga Bridge, and I was amazed what an education to actually go in between the roadway and that area. When you look up when you're driving, if you look up and you see that, it looks like aluminum sheeting. We were walking on that.
That's what it is.
And that was 25 years ago, and that damage has happened. So think about this. If on question 1, when you read it, if you vote yes to repeal it, that comes with a price. If you vote no, it'll allow that gas tax to continue. No one wants to pay more for anything. However, we will be looking for your suggestions on how to pay for the roads and bridges and South Coast Rail should that not happen.
Yeah. And what is the cost of indexing the gas tax? The cost is a half a penny a gallon a year. So for the average driver, we're talking about $5 a year. I personally think that's a good investment in safe bridges and South Coast Rail.
In a broader discussion relative to these referendum questions, I think you're going to hear a lot of debate in the future about how easy it is in Massachusetts to get these questions on the ballot. We have a very low threshold to get referendum questions moving forward. And oftentimes, on very complicated public policy, tax policy, environmental policy, employment law policy, complicated policy, that there are issues on both sides, and those issues really are best left for the legislature to debate and to determine and to vote on. And certainly when advocates that are just advocating for one side of the issue but don't see the whole story and how that affects the other side of the issue, they push for the ballot initiative because it's a low threshold and you know, very complicated issues get boiled down to a little soundbite.
A little
Yep.
And
paragraph.
it's really dangerous. So when people ask my advice, I always recommend just vote no on all referendum questions because you know, those issues can and should be best dealt with of the legislature in a deliberative body so that there's there's lots of unintended consequences that come with these ballot initiatives.
And we just left a meeting on CSO because we're working together. We've been working very closely with Senator Rodrick, who's been this morning. We were gathered with talking with the offices of the federal legislators to try to get together with them. We were just at a meeting together. Senator Rodrick is leading the way in getting Senator Warren's office so that we can gather with all of those federal legislators to find a way to reduce the cost, that CSO water sewage fee to the residents in our city. So these regulations, and while we were in that meeting, we learned of another issue, an issue that will upset the heck out of you when you hear about it, and it is called nitrogen in our waterway. And the EPA wants us to find a way to reduce nitrogen levels in the Taunton River, which could cost up to $80 million. When I heard that, and when we have heard that, we just go ballistic. And we want to find a way, that's going to be part 2 of this meeting we're going to have with the federal legislators. We have been regulated to death, and I'm so upset, and I'm fine with, and I'm not speaking for my colleagues, I'm fine for the environment. I love the environment. Our bay is much cleaner. We're fine. We've just now, because of what we did to coal, we should be burning coal. We lost 250 jobs plus over there across the river. It's awful. We should be burning coal. We should be utilizing all of the resources, all of the energy, not just to be independent on gas or on wind. All of those are going to cost us money. As we just learned, that you're going to be paying $33 on an average more month between April and November and April on your utility bill. That's because we want to go green. How green are we going to go? China's laughing at us because they're buying our coal for peanuts. We should be burning coal across the river, the cleanest coal burning plant in the country, and we're letting that slide. I know I get passionate about these issues, but I know my colleagues are concerned about it too. You know, it kills me when I see what's going on here. We got to do something to put the brakes on with regards to nitrogen and CSO. We're being bombarded. I know I get carried away. So vote no on the bottle bill. We're doing fine on recyclables. You want to go to the store and pay another nickel for a bottle of water? You're crazy if you do that. No, we don't need any more recyclables.
Wow. Well, the representative is extremely passionate. We'll say thank you for that. And your listeners.
Well, every action has an equal and opposite
That's right.
reaction. And whether it's about energy, and we did. Representative Sylvia is referring to a memo that we just all received that National Grid is announced that between November and April, that's going to be a 37% increase in the cost of your electricity. And why is that? It's because the cost of generating the electricity is going up. Because as we're closing the most cost-effective fossil fuel plants that are also the dirtiest, we understand that. So we don't want to pay. We don't want to buy 7-cent, 8-cent coal power. We want to buy wind power, but guess what? That's 28 cents. Or we want to buy solar power, and that's 30 cents. Guess who pays that? You. These aren't pie in the sky
This
numbers.
technology is expensive.
Now, we should do all we can, and we are at an exponential rate in moving towards renewable energy. However,
Massachusetts
Is
Leading the way.
is leading the way. But as
So-
we say, when the sun ain't shining or the wind ain't blowing, you need a reliable source of power to make sure that in our schools, in our factories, in our hospitals, when you flip the switch in our homes, that the electricity is there. Now, across the river at Brayton Point, Representative Sylvia is right. Arguably the cleanest burning coal power plant, not in the country, in the world. Dominion Power spent $1.2 billion, not just on those cooling towers. Those are very important for the bay and for the temperature in the water. That just cools the water that's utilized in the plant. The big issue is air emissions, so-called NOx and SOx and mercury. They've got every toy, bells, whistle in the world on that plant. It is a clean plant. Why are we shutting that plant down? That burns American coal shipped by American ships with American workers, 256 good blue-collar union jobs over there in Somerset, paying a hefty percentage of their tax base in Somerset. But who's going to pay for all that? You and I as ratepayers. Who paid for that $1.2 billion of environmental emission control products? You and I paid for that.
Yeah.
So why aren't we using it?
It's out
You
of
don't think
hand.
Dominion, it came out of, no, it didn't come out of Dominion. It gets passed through to the ratepayers.
And I think the viewers can see that we are passionate. We understand the bills are going up. We understand the EPA and all these federal agencies are coming down on us and putting these mandates, like the CSO that we've been talking about since the 1980s, and we've been paying dearly. And all of us are furious about this. And so that's why we're going to meet with our delegation, our federal delegation, in one room to hammer out some of the strategies that we can do to bring us, I live here, we live here, us relief for you and for us and for our children. You know, we talk about electric bills, we talk about, nitrogens. This is a word now that's going to just explode throughout the airwaves to think that we, behind the scenes, and I think this is important because you don't see these fights every day. You see us at events and you see us at parades and you see us in meetings or on TV here, but we're behind the scenes trying to fight to make sure we can prevent some things from happening that'll have even more dire straits for our community. At the same time, you talked about our kids, and maybe we can transition into some very good news,
So vote no on the
great
questions.
news
Vote
about
no
our
on the
kids.
questions. Those are important. The gaming, listen, vote no. Leave the gaming the way it is. If you can, it's going to bring resources to the state.
And the gaming bill already leaves it up to the community
Yes.
Yeah,
to
you'll vote.
decide whether it takes
Yep.
gaming or not. So the bill allows choice to the voter in the community.
And earned sick time, I just want to say something about earned sick time because I think it's important. Right now, especially in Fall River, we actually have people who go to work part-time who don't earn sick time. And if they're not earning sick time and there's a sibling, another child who lives in the house who is ill, sometimes that parent will let that other child stay home to watch that other child so that that mom can go to work for a few hours because they're not getting sick time. Everyone should get sick time for the amount of work based on the amount of work that they do, just like you do if you're at a 40-hour work a week. So this will require employers who have more than 17 employees. It will require them to have earned sick time. Please, again, that's an issue that should be available to everyone. We're not going to stay on that, but
Well, Rep. Sylvia, can I just jump
Sure.
in and say you're absolutely right. When a working parent has to work to bring home dinner that night and has to ask one child to be absent from school, to take care of another child, what
That's
an
right.
awful choice.
and that's one of the problems that hurts our educational system, and that's one of the things
causes
that
of
we've been
absenteeism.
watching. As you know, we talked about the red chair and about vacancies in school and
Attendance
and
matters.
attendance issues. So it's so important to get your child to school. And we were just yesterday. The Commissioner of Secretary of Education, Joe Malone, was in town, and we have two schools that went from level 3 to level 1. And they're both in the South End. I'm so proud. We're all proud.
Oh, we are. Of course we are.
But you know, these particular schools where we have such a high unemployment rate in the South, higher unemployment rate in the South End. All of those children, lots of issues at both the Viveris and the Doran. To the school department, great job. Those teachers doing a great job up there.
Congratulations to all of them. Congratulations to the teachers. Congratulations to the administrators.
Yes.
Congratulations to the parents who were taught,
And the
and most of all, the students.
And it's
Congratulations
because
to
one of the
students.
reasons is that expanded day.
Which we fund.
We
fund.
voted for that, and that expanded day, and you know, we see a trend coming in education. We see pre-K, we're talking about 4-year-olds, mandatory, 4-year-old, mandatory for 4-year-olds and K, kindergarten, for Massachusetts. And we're probably looking at targeting in the near future those cities like gateway
Gateways,
cities
yeah.
first. And so we've already have the expanded day in many schools where they're going to school 8.5 hours a day. And if you look at any developed country, there's no summer vacation of 10 weeks. They get a short time off. We need to not only expand our day, we need to expand our year. We need to take it beyond STEM, where it's just science and math, STEAM. We need to bring in culture and arts, and this would bring in, be able
That's
to.
the STEAM.
Yes.
The A is for arts,
Arts.
and so that's very
But
important.
how about American history? How about civics? Let these kids go to school. They're safer in school. They're getting proper nutrition in school. At least they're eating. Let's get kids to school, and they've got a better shot at life, parents, by going to school.
And I would just like to add, Representative, as you talk about education and those needs, when you look at our school system, one of the things that I know we've talked about, and I know is very important to me and to all of us, is class size. We talk about it, and we've recently just received some information on the K, 1, and 2 numbers in our community, the kindergarten, first, and second grades. We have many of the schools, many of them, over 30 children in the classroom without an aide. So when we look at these problems, there's only solution to some of these are money. We need more money. And so those are the challenges our community faces. We need to lower those classes, and I use the example all the time. 31 children in a first grade here in Fall River without an aide.
Imagine.
My nephew who lives in Mattapoisett, he has 17. Both classes take the same exact MCAS test and are required to pass at the same standards. It's unacceptable. Those are some of the things that we can work on, we have worked on, and will continue to work on, because in spite of that class size, just think about it. This is why it's such an accolade to our teachers, our administration in the school department, and to the students and their families, is in spite of that, we showed this progress.
Because
so we can't give up, because the future of getting jobs in this community and showing companies that we want them to locate here is in our school system.
Other communities would not accept 31 students in a classroom. If you went to Wellesley and Newton and
they pay for
Gloucester,
it.
Or Mattapoisett.
they would not want more than 17 or 18 kids. They'll start screaming at 18. We have 31. So, and we have to do more. We have to do more as a community to reduce those class sizes.
It's a challenge.
So we mentioned the wonderful news about the progress that our schools are making. There were a couple of other wonderful things that happened to our schools recently. We were at
The AP.
the kickoff to the AP program.
Advanced placement.
Which has...
Exciting.
We have gone from one of the laggards in the state to, we're right up at the top, and people up at the State House talk about what a successful AP program we have now in Fall River. You may know a little bit more about it than
Well, you're right, Representative, because this community was the recipient of some funding from us, from the state, to increase the scores of AP class tests. And AP means advanced placement, and what that does is gives our students in high school the chance to earn college credit based on a national test that they take after they take a particular course. And we were taking AP classes here in Fall River at Durfee, I'll use that as an example, and the kids would take the classes, but they never quite would score those 4 and 5s, those 3, 4, and 5s. They'd score the 1 and the 2, so they could get no college credit. And all they have to do is score a 3, 4, or 5 on this national test, which will allow them to have already going into college a course under their belt that their families don't have to pay for. So what happened is the money that came in from the state gave special training and instruction to the teachers, to the
Saturday
students.
classes.
Saturday, they do it on a Saturday. And the growth, the number of students that now participate in AP classes in our public high school, our Durfee, has grown, as Representative Schmidt said, through the roof. And we were at a rally, not for the sports, although we all love our sports. We were there with the cheerleaders and the band and the administration. We have the songs. And so again, good news, good news.
And I want to say, when that came up on the floor, and I remember talking to Senator Rodrigues that day because we had just pushed, because they were fighting not to give that funding, if you remember.
Yeah.
Oh, they wanted to cut it back.
We were able to ensure that we gathered people together, ensure we get that funding, because that funding actually benefited Westport and benefited Somerset's AP program, but it really helps us in the city, and that was a great thing we did.
Well, you're actually right. Westport is now part of the program
Right.
for
Yes.
the first
Right.
time.
Great program, AP. If that advanced placement allows students not only, of course, they go to school on a Saturday. What's better than that? Get them to school. I'd rather see a student in school than doing something crazy.
that's a
Get away
training.
from the Xbox. Get an advanced placement program. Almost every math, sciences, English. And they can get not only advanced placement, but earn college credit. So their costs for college are reduced. You're reducing your costs. You're already experiencing college work. So when you get to college, you're not like in a box and not wondering, a deer in the headlights and wondering, what am I doing here? How am I going to do this? You already know the work. Colleges accept you quicker because they say, this is a person who's already done this work.
Well, they've demonstrated they could do college work.
So,
And why is this important? Why is this important? You might say, well, my grandson's not in the AP class, or how did they get? Well, first of all, this rally at Durfee was to encourage the students, to encourage their friends to challenge themselves, to not feel held back, that the resources are in the school to give them the help they need to handle that coursework. And what ultimately does that do in the end? It helps get our kids into better colleges,
scholarships.
Scholarships for academics, and also, again, when new families are looking to move here, when companies are looking to move here and tap into our workforce, they want to see that education is a priority. We're not making that up.
If you don't go to college, you're going to have a very difficult time surviving.
On the other hand,
the world is changing.
And at the same time, we were recently, all of us, spent a great deal of time with the Secretary of Economic Development, Bielecki, at Diamond Regional Vocational Technical High School. And if you haven't been there lately, it's worth calling up and getting a tour, because Diamond is a showpiece of academic and work experience in the state. And so we get to see the students there. They're excelling, they're taking advantage of these programs, and they all involve some type of funding that comes through the state that we are obligated on your behalf to lobby for, and we do.
Just one more exciting thing.
Good. You have
Having to do
Just
with
one?
education.
Just one?
Yep.
And that was, we were all there, the dedication of the bell
Oh, the
towers.
bells.
Oh boy, that was
it.
great.
That was
That
good.
was tremendous. Yep.
Pride.
The bells are working.
You know, who would have thought? You know, I had no idea, folks, that, you know, those bells, I was a student, I graduated in 1970 from Durfee. That was 100 years ago, it seemed to me. But who would have thought that they would move those bells from Durfee, that building, and then move them to Ellsbury Street? And we sat there, and I thought they were just going to ring the bells 29 times, you know, for Matthew Bradford Challoner Durfee. 29 times. That was the age that he died. They were playing music. They were playing music. They're going to play, they need one bell. They're waiting for a bell to come in. They're going to play the Star Spangled Banner. I'm sure we're going to gather again when we do that. So that is an amazing thing to hear those bells. What that means, at the time when that high school was built, the Durfee High School, it was the most advanced high school on the entire East Coast of the United States.
The old Durfee.
The old Durfee.
And I find that amazing.
And it is. And you know what? So what does, again, that mean? That a group of local, committed people got together to save the bells. And this is another example in this community how people come together to enrich it. And they moved the bells over to the new Durfee High School that used to be housed in the old Durfee, and it cost an awful lot of money. You know, it cost, well, we never got quite the total sum, but I know people gave $10,000, $20,000, $15,000. People contributed $100, and we have to tip our hat to Les Corey, Durfee
Engineer.
alum, and he's involved with UMass now, but he and his whole team of volunteers who have a passion for their history of loving Durfee High School, to bring that here and to preserve it for the memories for the next generation. And that's so important for our traditions and our history. And again, a group of people took the time and effort to enhance the quality of life in our community. It may seem small to you, but it's a passion that has enriches
course,
our campus at Durfee High School.
People have seen that they've revitalized and they're reusing now for the first time in many years the telescope at Durfee.
They just
Yes,
did that.
yeah.
So that was in the,
Yeah.
in the paper. So that's, you know, those are some of the great historical things. I never even had an opportunity to go see the telescope, but I want to do that. But I think that's great for our children, our grandchildren, to be able to, for us to know that those bells are there for people to enjoy, and the history of that is incredible. So lots of good positive things.
You know, it's getting close now to the time that we're going to have to say goodbye. This half hour goes by so fast, but why don't we just take a few seconds to talk about what we opened up with, that it's election time, November 4th. Please, please exercise your right to vote. We're asking that you consider us and vote for us, but not only that, please just get out and vote. It's embarrassing when they look at the percentage of people that vote and they look at Fall River with such a low percentage. Let's prove them all wrong. Let's prove them that we care, we want to participate in this thing called democracy, and get out and vote on November 4th.
We had less than 14% of voters, of registered voters turnout. That was still lower than the state average. The state average was higher than that. So we have to do better than less than 14%. I know that people are going to be concerned about these questions. These are questions that are so important. So if that isn't enough, please find a way to get. We just voted for a package for expanded voter rights that are not going to take effect until next year. But I think that's an incredible. We're going to have some of the best voting opportunities anywhere in the country.
We try to make it as easy and painless as possible to vote. Even currently, it takes but 5 minutes. Maybe it'll take 10 minutes for this ballot because of the ballot questions, and there might be some more reading that you have to do.
And you can still register. You can still register to vote.
Right, you still have time.
We have
Register to
until the
vote.
middle of this month, till about the middle
15th.
of October, the 15th, to register. At any time, if you think November 4th, you're going to be under the weather or you're not going to be in town, you can just simply call up City Hall.
Or call one of us.
Or call any of us, and you'll get an absentee ballot application. You just fill it out, and they'll mail you the ballot, postage, everything, right to your home. Trust me, my first full year on the job this past week. And
By the way, you've done a wonderful job.
Absolutely.
Representative.
Thank you.
have.
It's been
Yep.
an honor to be able to work with you.
Yes.
Thank you. I can say one thing. I know this is a passionate group who cares deeply about not only your pocketbook, about the issues, about your personal constituent issues that we deal with every day. And I hope to continue in this fashion and work with all of you to keep building a better community for the people in this area.
Thank all of you. Once again, this is Voices from the Hill. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Take care.
See you all on November 4th at
Yes.
the polling places. We'll be out there.
We'll be there.
We'll be out there working, absolutely.
That's right.